1951, a black woman named Henrietta Lacks went to Johns Hopkins Hospital for treatment. Doctors took samples of her cancer cells without her permission. Those cells didn't die. They multiplied endlessly, becoming the first immortal human cell line in history. They were used to develop vaccines, study radiation, clone cells, even explore space. They saved millions of lives, but her family never consented and never received a penny. Her cells, called HeLa, are still used in labs around the world today. Henrietta Lacks didn't sign a form. She didn't volunteer. She was taken, and yet she changed medicine forever. It's one of history's greatest scientific breakthroughs, built on the body of a woman denied her humanity.
In 1951, scientists at a U.S. lab collected cells from a woman named Henrietta Lacks. Without her consent, her cells didn't die. They kept growing, replicating. Scientists had never seen anything like it. They were called HeLa cells and used in cancer research, nuclear testing, even vaccine development. Billions were made off them. But Henrietta's family, they were never told.
When you talk about the word X-Men, the X represents Photo 51. Photo 51 was a picture taken in 1951 by Rosalind Franklin and Raymond Gosling that provided the picture that allowed the structure of DNA to be, discovered. The same year Photo 51 was taken was the year that Henrietta Lacks transitioned, and her cervix was taken from her, unknowingly to her and her family, by a doctor, because she was the first cell they were able to document that was a mortal cell line. And an immortalized cell line is a group of cells that can continue to replicate infinitely. So all the biology books, mitochondria, cells, blood that you know to this day, that you studied in school, has everything to do with the studies of these HeLa cells, Henrietta Lacks cells, that they got in 1951.
Check this shit out.
When you talk about
Check this shit out.
When you talk about the word X-Men, the X represents Photo 51. Photo 51 was a picture taken in 1951 by Rosalind Franklin and Raymond Gosling.
We decided to see, well, if we genetically modify the human that's here in a way that we can take it to full term and give birth, we might be able to get a successful Homo sapien. That's when Homo sapien came into view. 200,000 years ago, it's all we've been here. Us, this Homo sapien sapien. 200,000 years. We're the new kids on the block. We're definitely not even close to being the one-all be-all. We're brand spanking new, because in geological time frames, 200,000 years is a blink of an eye, literally a blink of, probably even less than a blink of an eye, okay? We're just like, boom, we're here. And so what happened was one of the Anunnaki females took an egg out of the existing hominid. There's a famous cylinder scroll on display at the British Museum about this. And they then added some Anunnaki DNA to this egg, and they took out some of the genetic material from the existing hominid, added their genetic material, inserted it into her womb, and she took it to full term in 10 months. And she then gave birth to the Adamu, which means...
Beginning in 1987, several studies have been conducted that show all humans alive today have the same female ancestor, and she lived approximately 200,000 years ago. Even though biologists have shown that all people are descended from one person, this does not mean that only one female was alive at that time. It simply means only one set of genes have been passed down from a single point in history.
51. Doctors took a tissue sample from a poor, dying black woman that was given to researchers without her knowledge or her permission. The HeLa cells, named for the patient's first and last name, acted differently than other cells in the lab. They were hardier, and they replicated at an amazing rate. They also didn't die. Today we examine the woman behind the notorious and immortal HeLa cells, Henrietta Lacks. The importance of Henrietta's cells cannot be overstated. Through this immortalized, continuously cultured cell line, cancer research has advanced, vaccines have been developed, gene mapping has taken place, and treatments of various diseases have been studied and undertaken. HeLa cells have even been put into space on missions with both Americans and Russians, were tested against an atomic bomb, and were the first human cells to be cloned. Perhaps the most well-known advances using HeLa cells occurred shortly after Henrietta's death in the midst of a polio epidemic. The virus was sweeping the country, and parents feared for the lives of their children. In late summer, dubbed polio season, public swimming pools were shut down, and officials warned the virus could be spread by sitting too close to others at movie theaters. By 1952, 60,000 children were infected, and thousands were paralyzed. A vaccine was in development by Jonas Salk, but he needed a way to test it in a lab on a grand scale before injecting children. HeLa provided the perfect opportunity. Soon, the HeLa project at Tuskegee University began growing the cell line, employing mostly black women lab technicians. Tuskegee's mass production of HeLa would serve as the first of its kind, and it helped launch a multi-billion-dollar industry when the first commercial cell culture operation began using Tuskegee's model in an old Fritos factory in Bethesda, Maryland. While this groundbreaking biomedical research was taking place, only a handful of people could trace the HeLa cell line origins back to a poor 31-year-old black woman with cervical cancer.
Guess what? Here in America, we have the largest population of O positive blood. That means we, the original blood or the donor blood is here. That means life got to start here. That's just one point. I'm just talking about the blood side. Now, let's move forward even further. Did you guys know about Henrietta Lacks? Any of y'all ever heard about this magnificent woman named Henrietta Lacks? Guess what? She's the one proving not only life started from Africa, she possessed the genetic, that what you call the Eve gene. Her gene's still alive. Her cells never die. She possessed the immortal cells. So, how the hell we don't find a person like this in Africa? That person was here. That means her roots, her genetic come from the original people that ever lived this planet. Her cells still alive. Make it make sense. Yo, these are facts. The pharmaceutical industry gets this far because of her cells. She got the immortal cell. That means her lineage, her roots are ancestors, great, down the line were the very first people on the goddamn planet. That's the God gene. If God worked the earth, it would have been here in America. She possessed the immortal cell from those gods. And guess what? Her blood was what? All positive. Yo, listen, man. People gonna have a hard time dealing with these information because it's just that the matrix is collapsing. These are information that's collapsing the goddamn matrix. But they prophesied these things. This is not just me talking. This was already prophesied. They told you when they said the end time. This is not the world destroying. End time means the end time for the lies. The age of Aquarius means you got to wash out all these goddamn lies. That's all it is.
In the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, they were persistent. They wanted his seminal fluid. The Germans were contacting Muhammad Ali. In the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, they were persistent. They wanted his seminal fluid. Why? Because he had superhuman DNA. Henrietta Lacks was born in, I think, 1929 or something like that. She was taken to the hospital for something very brief, but the doctors noticed that her cells kept regenerating. Her cells did something that no human's cells had done. Her cells were regenerating by themselves outside of her body in a laboratory. They call those the immortal HeLa cells. From Henrietta Lacks, she had superhuman DNA. In the NFL and the NBA, the owners know that we as so-called black people have superhuman abilities. When we jump with our heads above the rim. We have superhuman abilities and superhuman DNA, but we have a problem. Other people know about the superhuman DNA and the skills that we have. The Germans...
We know the truth now here. This is Henrietta Lacks from Roanoke, Virginia. In 1951, her doctor took and saved several tissue samples from her without her permission or knowledge. From these cells came the world's first immortal cell line. Her cells have been used to develop everything from cloning to the polio vaccine. They have been used to develop cancer drugs, drugs for HIV, herpes, Parkinson's disease, and hundreds of other diseases. Scientists have grown more than 20 tons of her cells, and her cells have helped people all around the world with different diseases. The HeLa cells, or the Henrietta Lacks cells, are immortal because they can divide and multiply indefinitely under specific conditions. Henrietta's cells had a massive impact in the blood cancer research as they lead to advancements in chemotherapy, a treatment which continues to save the lives of millions of people with blood cancer. Now, you understand, the most ancient bloodline came from North America that can save lives all over the world. Henrietta cells is the oldest and most commonly used human cell line in the world, right here in North America. We know the truth now.
From Neanderthal, these are not birth creatures. These are splice creatures. That mean they create them in labs, okay? And these labs is what you call a cave. Those cave are rogue labs. That's why they create them in cave. These caves known to have a certain set of temperatures, and that's where they go and create them inside of these caves. Those are labs, okay? So now to create these creatures, you still need a primal cell. Let me say this shit again. When they told you that everybody come from the black woman, this is what they talking about. Not as opposed that the black woman pushed them or was 9 months pregnant with them. No, you still need the mitochondria DNA. That means you need the cell of that black woman. In order to genetically create those spliced creatures, you still need the mitochondria DNA in order to make that spliced creature come to the humanoid versions. This is why when they told you that the black woman birthed everyone, that's a part of it, okay? That means her cells will give life to every single variation on this goddamn planet because she possessed the immortal cells. And this is what he fails to do. As a person, they're talking about UFO, that lady named Henrietta Lacks' name should be mentioned because her cells till today never dies. The pharmaceutical industry, once again, all of these so-called natives of today, a lot of you guys survive is because of this black woman's cells. A lot of medicines was created out of her cells. Okay, so if you guys said, yo, you guys was the oldest people here, that should be one of y'all cells that we are using for pharmaceutical because y'all the oldest. Nah, it was not y'all. So again, we come up with facts and truth and all evidence prove none of y'all was here. Because how you don't know about Henrietta Lacks?
Baby, you understand me now. If sometimes you see that I'm mad, baby, you understand me now. If sometimes you see that I'm mad.
Now that an enormous amount of people are coming to the realization that vampires are real due to the horrific information that's been released and brought forward in those files, it leaves me to say, now just imagine how much of a nightmare American slavery was and why they always tell us to forget it. People are using their brains and coming to the conclusion that no average human can just cannibalize and drink the blood off of other humans on the regular without getting severely sick. Now, if I take you guys back to the 17th century, you'll see that oppressors could not even go into places like what's now known as Africa without catching malaria. They had to go to South America, and with the help of the tribes in Peru, they was able to extract the bark off the cinchona tree called quinine and take quinine, which then allowed them to go deep into these tropical environments. So now when we dive deeper and we hear stories of tribes talking about these oppressors cannibalizing them, it makes you think, what healing abilities were they getting from eating these ancient people? Now think about the history books. It says they brought up people on boats all the way from Africa. When the natives came in contact, allegedly, they just was dying off of smallpox. So these people, something about their DNA, they survived all that, went through brutal chattel slavery for 400 years, came up out of that, and still managed to thrive in modern society today, had to learn a whole nother language, everything. What is it about their DNA that now we hear these stories that come out that a lot of these slave owners was cannibalizing? Was it just a fetish, or did they know they would get something healing out of that old ancient DNA? Without her consent, they took Henrietta Lacks' cells and did research on it and found out that her cells multiplied infinitely, becoming the first immortal human cell lines in history, and she died without even knowing any of this, that she cured the world. This helped in polio, cancer, COVID, to this day, still helping to save lives. That's just one that they leaked. Could you imagine how many more? So when you hear about these horror stories of them doing horrific, unimaginable things, ask yourself, what are they benefiting from this?
Henrietta Lacks is talked about like that, man. The black woman whose cells regenerated like X-Men. Yeah, she went to the hospital because she was in pain. And when they took tests of her blood and her cells, they literally regenerated by itself.
If you've been watching the news, you know the family of Henrietta Lacks reached a historic settlement, finally, with the biotech company over the use of her cells and their products. Now the estate is suing a second company for unjustly profiting off her genetics.
Serious question, guys. Is genetic testing eugenics? That's a serious question. Because I'm really like, Henrietta Lacks,